fun beverage to accompany me on our mid-year reset or July reset. I have a 12 pack of these sugar-free Dr. Pepper creamy coconut beverages sitting in my fridge, and I need to get through them, so we're doing this instead of an Olipop today, and because I need a smidge of caffeine, and these have just that. Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Abby if you are new here, and today we are going through my July reset. I've been doing these monthly reset videos all year here on my channel, but today's a special because it's more of a mid-year reset. While a lot of this video is going to be July specific and reflecting on June, there are going to be some special things that we're doing in this video that just pertain to resetting since it's the middle of the year, and we've got a lot to get through, so let's go ahead and get into it. But before we do, I just want to say, if you are new here, definitely subscribe if you aren't already, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any uploads. We did just recently hit 98,000 subscribers, which is so exciting, and I'm so excited for when the day comes that we hit 100 because it's been a long time coming. In today's video, we are going to be going over June, kind of doing a quick recap, and do a June spending recap, budgeting recap, whatever you want to call it. I plan on moving through that very quickly because I want to go through the goals that I set at the beginning of the year and literally real time, like, check them off with you all and see where we're at with my goals for 2024, and then use that to go over what my intentions are for the rest of the year, given what I have accomplished and what I haven't accomplished. And we're going to get into my goals for July, and we're going to do a reading recap, and I'm going to share my TBR for the month of July with you all. I also want to say, if you watched my last vlog, which was a week of my life, and I was talking about some updates with some job hunt related things, and I was talking in the video and I said that I have 6-figure months. Sometimes I did not catch that when I was speaking or when I put the overlay text on in the vlog, because I've never had a 6-figure month, I promise. I don't make 6 figures annually from doing social media, so I meant to say that I've had a few 5-figure months like in my lifetime of doing social media, and I accidentally said 6, so I'm so sorry for any confusion, because when I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, whoever just heard me say that and then follow that with saying I feel like I have to still worry about money and have to save for the months where I don't get any brand deal income, that probably thinks I am so ungrateful and insufferable and just like not managing my money well if I feel like I need to save everything else I'm making if I'm having a 6-figure month. Trust me, if I was making 6 figures a month, I would not be batting a lash about money, and I would not be worrying about getting another job. Just wanted to clear the air on that because I know about 3,000 people saw the video before I caught that mistake. Getting into June, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that this was a terrible month when it comes to achieving my goals, because my goals were to spend more time outside. So go to the pool and do a lot of walks outside, which I definitely do. I've been going on evening walks every single day, and I've been going to the pool once a week since I've been home from all my traveling. Other goal I achieved was to read 3 books, which I also did. The goals I did not achieve, I'll just run through them really quick. Break my phone addiction, no. Stop procrastinating with work and followed my weekly plan that I set up with work for being a content creator. Didn't happen. Have a social media detox day, has not happened yet. I think I'm gonna plan on taking mine tomorrow though, because tomorrow's the 29th of June, so we still got some time. I did not finish my trying on everything in my closet video. That's still a work in progress. It's just so hot, and trying everything on just makes me so sweaty. And I've been on my period this week. I don't want to be trying on dresses and jeans and everything when I'm extremely bloated. You know what I mean? I did not clean out the closets like I said I was going to do. I didn't make any summer recipes. I did not go to the beach to see a sunrise. We're going to try that again in July. I didn't sleep 7 hours a night, nor did I really prioritize sleep. And I did not have 5 figures in bookings for brand deals, which I don't know if I verbalized that goal in my video last month, but it was on my Notion. So I only achieved those first 2 things, which is fine. You'll hear the things that I carry over into July when we get to that section, but overall it was just a moody month for me. It was not the best when it comes to achieving my goals, but there were a lot of amazing things that happened too, because I did travel. I went to Seattle to surprise one of my best friends from college because she just got engaged. I was asked to be her matron of honor while I was there, which was super, super special, and I always love going to Seattle. It's probably my favorite city to like revisit that I've traveled to so far when it comes to big cities. I was back home in Panama City Beach at the beginning of the month seeing some live country music at a country music festival, which was great, so I got some good family time in. My mom and I took a trip to Fredericksburg, and I did vlog about that, and I also vlogged my trip in Florida if you want to see those. Got to see Noah Khan live with my sister-in-law. I'm looking at my highlights where I just kind of number out the days of the month and then kind of write my highlight of the day here, and I really love doing this in place of kind of like gratitude journaling. inspires me to actually pinpoint something a lot more specific about my day that I'm grateful for, and that was just like an overall highlight. I really like doing the daily highlights on my bullet spread. I'm looking here for all of these things, but went to a book club at my sister-in-law's house. I went to an Astros game, went to a brand event with my friend Katie, celebrated Father's Day. I donated blood for the first time. So a lot of very, very great things happened this month. It just was not necessarily a month of getting things done. Going into the June spending recap and our budget, we're right on budget with our auto category, which is kind of just like any tolls we pay, our gas, auto insurance, that kind of thing. My gas is not included in here. I pay it on another credit card during the summer because I get 5% cash back on that credit card on gas, and that credit card can't link up to the system we use for our budget for some reason. And I say it in every video, but what we use for our budget is through my husband's job. So unfortunately, it's not something I can like share a link for, if that makes sense. Definitely went over on our coffee budget. So I usually budget $100 a month, and we have $143 spent. We did buy some of Griffin's siblings like coffee and breakfast one day. So I definitely think that that added to our higher coffee spending this month. And with me being out of town, getting coffee out. For groceries, we were actually under this month. Since I knew I was going to be out of town for like a week and a half of this month, I did change our budget from $800 to $700 for this month for groceries, and we spent $669 on groceries. I do think there's one transaction that's not in there from yesterday though, so technically speaking, we did go over that $700, but just barely. For restaurants and dining, I upped this budget big time because I knew I would be eating out a ton this month with being in Seattle, Florida, and Fredericksburg. When I was in Fredericksburg, my mom and I just took turns paying for each other. That was just kind of how we did it. And then when I was in Seattle, my friend's fiance just paid for everything because I think he was just wanting the credit card points. I got like our drinks one night, and then I got our coffee another day, and then I Venmo'd him like $300 and was like, hopefully this covers everything else. Honestly, this isn't super accurate because like that Venmo isn't technically in here. So it says we spent $607 at restaurants, which is so much money compared to what we usually spend. For shopping, we spent $214. I feel like that was pretty good. I don't even know what we spent on this. Oh, I did get a newly this month, so that was one of the big things. I have like a random Amazon purchase. I got a pair of pants tailored, and I counted that towards like shopping with clothes. And Griffin got a new pair of ABC pants at Lululemon for work, so those were like our main things, but we were still under budget there on shopping. I did have a few other bigger expenses this month that were not expected, and then I had some that were expected. So we had our gifts for Father's Day. I got a gift from my YouTube manager and my friend Lexi, because her gift was this month, and I sent that to her. And then we got a Father's Day gift for my father-in-law. We had some pet expenses this month, so we boarded Ella for the time that I was in Fredericksburg because Griffin was in like an all-day 3-day or 3.5-day boot camp thing for studying, $200. And then I had to spend another $200 for a 6-month supply of her heartworm medicine and a 6-month supply of her flea and tick medicine. So that is something that comes up like every 6 months that we have to pay for. And then for medical expenses, I had to spend $300 at the dentist basically because I went last week and found out that I have stress fractures in my teeth. Shout out to my Big Four job for that one, because I guess I picked up the habit of grinding my teeth in my sleep when I was working that job and developed these stress fractures on my teeth. So they recommended me to get a night guard, which I go pick up on Monday. So had to spend $275 on that. So we definitely had some larger random expenses here and there, and it was an expensive month when it came to eating out. But the good news is not going anywhere in July, really, so we can hopefully tone it back. I'm pulling up on my notes my 2024 plan. I made 5 pillars at the beginning of the year for my goals, and if this is something you want to do now, you totally can. So if you want to kind of like follow along with me as I'm going through these and saying which ones I achieved, which ones I didn't achieve, all that good stuff, you totally can. I'm going to screen record it so y'all can follow along. So for my personal goals, I have 1 home project or fix/finish decorating / furnishing. This I am going to check off because we did get our patio door replaced, which was huge. So definitely very expensive, and it was just a big step for our house. And I have gotten some things off Facebook Marketplace as far as furnishing goes. We got our little dining room table, as y'all know, so I'm gonna check that one off. Follow a cleaning schedule? No. I have not been following a cleaning schedule. It's something I'm definitely wanting to be better about the back half of this year. Get all the formalities with changing my name done. Yes, I am officially Abby Weinstein after our New Year's Eve wedding. I got everything done. Make time for non-productive hobbies, so playing my Switch, doodle journal, that kind of thing. I think I've done a pretty good job of this so far this year. Stick to my doodle journal each month. Yes, we've been doing phenomenal with that. Journal at least once a month. No. Explore new music and artists, especially after having a good 2023 with music. Yes, definitely. Read 20 books. I'm not there, but I'm on track. We want to take an anniversary trip to New York City really badly. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, and honestly, now that I think about it, I don't even know if I want to go this year. I kind of want to like lay low and chill during the holidays this year as of right now, but I really want to go to New York City during Christmas time or around Christmas time, and with our 1 year anniversary being New Year's Eve. I think that would be really magical and fun, but we'll see. Travel somewhere new. Have I been anywhere new? Yeah, I went to Fredericksburg. Perfect. Get ready for the day, put more effort into outfits, etc. when going out and about. No, I've still been pretty lazy with that, so I'm not going to check it off. Okay, moving on to health and wellness. Maintain my fitness routine. I have done that. I'm still going to F45 4 to 5 times a week usually. Maintain a balanced morning routine. Yes, I think I do a good job of this, but I credit that mainly to being able to work for myself now. 1 social media detox day a month. I haven't done it every month. I think I've done it 2 or 3 months this year so far. And then go to a church. We did go to a church, and I think once Griffin, my husband, is done taking his CFP exam in the middle of July, I think that it's a goal of ours to either revisit the church we went to or try out some other ones. For financial, I have buy less things but buy higher quality. I do think I've bought less things. It's so funny because when I say higher quality, it's like I've graduated from buying like H&M to buying Free People. So is that really a big step up? I don't know. And I don't feel like I've been shopping a ton. So I think we did a good job there. Build emergency fund to $15,000. So this is just my emergency fund that like I had before my husband and I got married. It got a little bit depleted because of what I owed in taxes last year. Even with setting aside 30% of everything I was making last year for taxes, I just still ended up owing a lot on tax day. So I had to dip into my emergency fund for that, $3,000 into it. So it got a little bit depleted, but I wanted to keep it at $15,000, and I did do that. So I'm gonna check that off. But now that my husband and I are married, we kind of have a larger emergency fund. Our emergency funds are separate, but like if anything were to happen, we can pull from both of ours, if that makes sense. In my personal opinion, I think it's good once you get your 3 to 6 months in your emergency fund, then you can, instead of just throwing all of your savings into your emergency fund, because that's kind of what I used to do. Like in college, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna throw everything in my emergency fund that's extra at the end of the day, which was great because it did help me build my emergency fund. Once you have that baseline in there though, you don't need to keep throwing money at it per se. So then you can start adding money to dedicated sinking funds, which is something we do. We have like a travel sinking fund, a car sinking fund, a sinking fund for our house, sinking fund for our pet, my sweet Ella girl, wherever she is, a sinking fund for gifts. You can start doing all those things, even if it's just like $10 a month into one of them. Or you can start putting more money towards your higher interest debt. For me, I do have student loans, and I am paying extra every month on the loan that has the most interest. So that's kind of where I directed that extra savings instead of just throwing it into my emergency fund once I hit that $15,000. So I am very happy that we got that restored, because that was definitely like a big goal this year after depleting it and not really being able to save much last year with having to spend so much with our wedding. Implement no spend days and weeks. I haven't done any no spend weeks, but I definitely have no spend days. So I don't know if I should check that off or not. Start investing again. I have been doing this. It hasn't been a lot of money, but it's been some, and that's better than nothing. My husband is an associate financial advisor and I'm a CPA. So we both have experience with like money and everything, but he's more so well-versed in like the individual world, whereas I was more well-versed in taxes and partnerships. We kind of know different stuff when it comes to the world of finance and accounting. For investing, I have been investing a little bit more just with some extra few like $100 we have here and there. We will put it into my individual investment account, and we got my 401k rolled over into a SEP IRA, which I did make a contribution for. So I am gonna check that because I have been investing, even though like it hasn't been much in terms of like my individual trading account, still been something, which counts. For career, I have be intentional with the job search. So don't settle within reason, and identify boundaries ahead of time so I can set them on day one. And I set all that because I went into my first job with like absolutely no boundaries. boundaries, and then it was really hard to like backpedal and try and set boundaries after I was already there for, you know, a good period of time. I do think I've been very intentional with the job search. I've really only been applying to things that truly sound like something I would be willing to do and would want to do. And I am so blessed to be in a position where I'm able to be picky with this right now, because I know that's not the case for so many people. 100K subscribers, not there yet, but I feel like this could be the year, you guys. I really, really feel like this could be the year, and I think that that would do so much for my confidence if this was the year that it happened, because doing that the year after quitting my corporate job that drained me and like taking this chance on myself, finally hitting 100K after being in the 90s for like 3 or 4 years would be so cool, and it would just really be a good boost of confidence. Not that it means everything and more to me, but it would be really special. Rebrand my YouTube channel. Yes, I did kind of get 2 different font packages set up that y'all have seen me using and everything, so I have done that. I feel like every 6 months I want to rebrand my YouTube channel, which you'll probably notice I think like a month ago I changed the fonts that I have been using for the front half of the year for the most part. So I feel like we already did that. 25K on Instagram. Yes, I did hit 25K. I do feel like I lose followers every single time I post. Actually, that's a fact. I do lose followers every single time I post. I really am fine with it, because ultimately I just want to have a strong community at the end of the day. These podcast goals are a little bit awkward, considering the fact that I stopped the podcast back in March, which I kind of barely addressed on YouTube. It's really hard for me to admit to quitting things because it makes me feel like a failure. And I kind of said that I was indefinitely going on a break with a podcast. I don't foresee it coming back. I just don't think that everybody needs a podcast, and I feel like everybody has a podcast. And I feel like with where I'm at in my life right now, with the 4.5 years of me sharing content on my podcast every week, I feel like I've said everything I have to say at this point, and then anything extra, I can just give my quick little nuggets here on YouTube. So obviously gonna leave those 2 unchecked. Get more comfortable on TikTok and find my niche on TikTok. Comfortable on TikTok, I kind of just post whatever I want to now, which feels good. But as far as finding my niche goes, I kind of meant that across the board with my content, because I just like didn't really feel like I know where I belong. But I think that's an issue in and of itself, that I'm trying to fit myself into a box. So I kind of don't even like that I set that as a goal. And then I have maintain and add to my 3 times a week posting schedule on Instagram for Reels. I actually think, I want to say I upped it to 4 times a week for a little bit. And I've been doing kind of the 3 to 4 range, so I'm gonna check that off. For social, I have attended a book club. I have gone to 2 book clubs. I went to one with a bunch of random people through meetup.com, and when I said that at the last book club I went to, which was last week, which was with like my sister-in-law and some of her closest friends, they thought I was crazy. They were like, Abby, you could have gotten kidnapped. They were like, how'd you hear about this book club? Because I was telling them, oh, it was like a book club with a bunch of random people. And I told them I found it on meetup.com, and they just, their jaws dropped. They were like, are you kidding me? But my friend Katie, who actually went to both book clubs with me, she went with me to the meetup.com one. I don't think I would have gone by myself. I was initially planning on going by myself, but I think when the day came, I would have chickened out from being scared of it not being legit. It was very legit. The girls were really sweet. I haven't gone back. Now I'm pretty much part of my sister-in-law's book club, so I'll probably be doing that every month anyways. But if I see a book that the other book club's doing that I want to read, I will try and attend that now that I know it's legitimate and everything. I have on here to host more at home. We have not had anybody over this entire year besides like Griffin's family. And that's just because of the issue we had like with the patio and door, getting that replaced. And our downstairs is an absolute wreck right now. Y'all have seen it in vlogs, and I always joke and say it looks like my husband is plotting to take over the world, because there's all these ginormous white sheets of paper that have like all of his study materials on the white sheets of paper, and there's like 8 of them I think downstairs. It just looks ridiculous downstairs, and because of all of that, we don't have our bookshelf on the wall. So our bookshelf is lying in our living room floor, and it's been this way for 2 months, almost 3. And everything that's normally on the bookshelf is on our kitchen island and on our console table when you walk in our entryway. So it literally looks like we've been in the process of moving in, along with my husband plotting to take over the world. That's what it looks like downstairs, and it looks terrible. So we haven't had people over, but I'm really excited to finally get to have people over once he's done with this exam this month. Finally, because I miss him. And then I have reinvest in friendships and social life. I was quite the hermit January and February and most of March, but I've done a lot better of a job at this, I think, this year compared to last year. So I'm gonna check that off. And that's everything for the 2024 so far check-in. But now I wanna go over the 5 things that I want to focus on for the rest of the year. The first one is to go see a doctor and genuinely talk about some issues I've been having. I've been off birth control since, I I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021, but I've been off birth control for about 3 years. When I got off of birth control, I definitely felt all the changes that were happening after about like 4 or 5 months of being off of it. But I was so busy because I was in grad school at the time. I was finishing up grad school. And then right after grad school, I moved to Houston and I started taking all my CPA exams. And then right after that, I jumped right into my Big Four job, and I was doing that for 2 years, and then, you know, planning our wedding for the last year I was doing that. And January of this year was the first time that I have not been like throwing myself into overdrive. And I think that all of these issues that I've been having have been there the whole time, but I haven't been able to really listen to my body, and I haven't really been able to notice these issues because I was so busy and I had so many things like distracting me from the problems I have been having. I think that I probably have PMDD, and if you don't know what that is, it's premenstrual dysphoric disorder. But when I learned about it, it just made so much sense, and it made me feel so validated in how I am right before my period. Literally, my cycle, like from the last day of my period to the first day of my next period, is typically 3 weeks. I'd say 7 to 9 days before the start of my period, I am literally in the trenches, and it is so hard, you guys. And I have finally realized, like, every month when I have had my spirals every month, it's always that 7 to 9 days before my period, and they're pretty severe. Like, I am a bully to myself. I really just feel like everything I'm doing has no value. I'm extremely unmotivated. I'm really hard on myself. It goes beyond just talking about like myself and my image. It bleeds into my work, which is not good. Any other day outside of that 7 to 9 days before my period and like the first few days of my period, any other day, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel relatively confident and I'm secure in what I'm doing, and I don't doubt myself. I'm a big encourager and I have tons of motivation and I get a lot done, but oh my gosh, I literally turned into another person before my period. And this month was like the month where it just went overboard for me, and I was like, I can't keep doing this every month because it is absolutely a freaking roller coaster to go from like here to like all the way down here to where you can't even see me every month. I have these thoughts that are basically like lies, and I'm like telling myself lies about myself and about my content and about like everything in my life and everything I do. And all of these false thoughts and all of these lies create these like real, very real reactions and very real feelings that I shouldn't be feeling, and I don't need to be feeling, because they're based off of literally false thoughts that my brain is just, you know, feeding me during that time. And it's really difficult. So I want to talk to somebody about it. I want to see like what my options are there. I will say I'm very, very scared of medication because of knowing what birth control did to me. Nothing bad happened when I was on birth control. I just became a shell of myself and I was very numb to everything. I feel like I lost a lot of like my passion that I typically have. I know a few people in my life who have PMDD, and I know that they are on medication for it, but they have said that it's really helped them. So I'm trying not to be scared of it, but I do just want to talk to a doctor about my options, obviously, but I need to find somebody to go to. The next thing to focus on is to keep challenging myself physically. So at F45, I feel like I'm still absolutely loving it, and I still love going 4 to 5 times a week, but I feel like I've kind of stopped challenging myself the way I used to. And it's probably just because I've been going for almost 2 years straight. So I want to find different ways to challenge myself there. Also want to challenge myself and maybe like get more into yoga, even if it's just doing yoga videos at home. I just need to be disciplined about it. I'm really bad about being disciplined with at-home workouts. I would love to go to a yoga studio. I also don't want to pay for another gym-related membership, or even start running for fun with Griffin once he's done with his exam and us just like going on runs together very leisurely. I'd be cool to even challenge myself physically in that regard. Third thing is to build a strong community across my platforms and stop obsessing over numbers, and create content from a place of passion first rather than from a place of being purely strategic. I feel like since I've been doing this full time, it's really hard for me to not to focus on and dwell on the numbers, even though I genuinely, like deep down, I do not care how many followers I have. Like, I don't care. But it's really hard to not pay attention to how things perform, especially when it's something you work really, really hard on and then it like absolutely flops. It's just very disheartening and very discouraging to get out of your comfort zone and try new things again, because then you're like, well, it didn't go well last time. Why would I put all that effort in again? But I don't want that to stop me from doing things that I'm passionate about and being creative, especially with creating content. So I really want to just focus on building a strong community across all my platform, focusing on that community rather than focusing on the numbers and focusing on how things perform, and ultimately just create content that makes me feel the most excited and passionate at the end of the day. I don't think there's anything wrong with being slightly strategic in the way you post content and the content you make, but it's really easy to kind of get into a rabbit hole of only being strategic and then completely not paying attention to the things that you're actually passionate about. The fourth thing I want to focus on is to not settle just because I'm uncomfortable. I've been finding with doing this full time that on the months where I'm, only really getting money from AdSense, which is, for me, transparently speaking, like my AdSense from YouTube videos is usually like $1,000-ish, which is awesome. I mean, it's a lot of money just for people watching my videos, but that's obviously not a lot of money to live on for a month. That's why I said in my vlog, when I have really good 5-figure, not 6-figure month, I feel like I have to save every bit of it for the most part to kind of compensate for the months that I don't get paid from any brand deals. And even when I know money's coming, I don't like spending money that I know is like on the way, even if I have that amount and more set aside in my bank account. With doing this full time, I found that in the months that I'm only getting paid through AdSense and I'm not getting any of that brand deal income in, and I don't really book a lot of brand deals, I start to get really uncomfortable and scared, and then like I start going down this rabbit hole of thoughts. But I've just found in those slower months that it makes me really uncomfortable, where I'm like, okay, I haven't really booked many brand deals this month. I start to panic a little bit, and I think that once I get in that state of being uncomfortable, I start panicking, and then I'm like, oh crap, I don't want to settle on a full-time job. Like I don't want to just apply to anything just because I feel like I need to be applying to something because I've had a lower month when it comes to what I'm making off of content creating. I just really want to keep adhering to my values and being very strong in that, and not settling with the jobs I apply to, and not settling when it comes to like the brand deals I'm taking and the content I'm doing, all that stuff. And the last thing is to enjoy marriage, because my husband's been studying for the CFP exam every single day after work and every single day on the weekends since the very first weekend of March. And he literally like wakes up in the morning 4 to 5 days a week and works out, physically goes to an office to work all day. He doesn't even work from home, comes home and he has like 30 minutes and then he studies from like 6:30 to 11 every night. So as you can probably imagine, our time together has been pretty limited. I'm a very, very, very independent person, honestly to a fault. And I'm just like, I miss our quality time so much. And we try to find our little pockets, but it's just, cumulatively, we haven't had a lot, understandably so, because he's been studying for this. And I miss it so much. So I'm really excited for us to enjoy being married, because I feel like we got like 2 months of it and then he had to start studying, and we've just kind of been in a phase of life where he's really busy and we aren't able to spend a lot of quality time together. So I'm super excited for us to be able to enjoy marriage and do things together again. So those are the main focuses for the rest of the year. Getting into my doodle planner and everything I did to set up for July, y'all are gonna be so happy because I did get some more colors. So you're gonna see some new colors. It's like a pastel collection and the colors are really pretty. The only thing that sucks is I thought they were the brush pens and they're not. They're just regular marker and pen instead of a brush pen and a pen. I really like the brush pens for the coloring, so I'm a little bit bummed about that, but I still really like the color. For July, setting this up, I love this month's theme. It's strawberries. I just did the strawberries red, of course, and then I did pink and blue flowers, and I just did July and purple, and then like all the text in purple, and I think it turned out really, really cute. And then for my habit and mood tracker, I'm tracking the same habits as I do typically every month. So I've posted on Instagram, post on TikTok, sleep 7+ hours a night, cook at home, have coffee at home, read, exercise, and then I did going on an evening walk this month, which I do that pretty much every night, but I knew it was a habit that since I did it every night, I could fill it out almost every day. So I wanted to put that on there, and I did a 5-minute plus tidy. So at the end of the day, I really want to get in the habit of just taking like at least 5 minutes to pick up a room or an area in the house. I did go ahead and do that. And then we have the mood tracker, and I just did pretty much all the colors that I was using throughout the theme already. And I think in July, I'm going to do the same thing with doing the daily highlights here on this page and writing out like each day of the month, because I really love doing that. I've absolutely enjoyed doing that. So that's the plan. For my July goals, I carried over a lot of things from last month. So I have going to the beach to see a sunrise. My friend Katie and I are trying to plan it out for a day to go to Galveston a weekend day to go to Galveston and see the sunrise. I want to keep spending time outside, so going on my evening walks, going to the pool. I've been going to the pool once a week and just going out there for like anywhere from an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. And it's just been so good. I know the sun is just so good for me and it does so much for my mood. So I've been loving doing that even though it's hot as hell. And I've also been playing a good amount of pickleball lately with Griffin's family. So I want to keep doing that too. I do want to finish filming my closet related videos. So I have literally over a month ago, I bought a ton of stuff to reorganize our closet off of Amazon, and all the stuff is still sitting in the box downstairs in another closet. So I want to film the reorganizing my closet video, and I want to finish filming the trying on everything in my closet video and going through my closet video. I want to bake some summer recipes, which I think we will be doing this weekend because I did get the stuff to make a strawberry lemon loaf. I have on here to go to the doctor and talk to someone about my what I think is PMDD, or at least start trying to figure it out. I have genuinely, for real, do not get on your freaking phone between like 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. My screen time has been atrocious this month on the days that I have been home, and I know that that does not help me at all, especially when I'm in like a really low state mentally, like I am before my period. So I really want to be good about just like staying off of it during the day and just giving myself like 30 minutes to get on it in the morning and then 30 minutes to get on it in the afternoon, just leaving it at that and not letting myself scroll. And going off of that, I want to have another social media detox day. I want to go on some date nights with Griffin, and I'm so excited because his exam is July 16th and I just want to do so much with him when he is done because I am just so excited to spend quality time with him outside of our house. We really want to see Inside Out 2, so we'll probably do that and go to the movies. I also want to see Challenger. I want to see Twister. I, for the first time in my life, like actually want to go to the movies and see movies. I actually hate watching movies and I hate going to the movies, but for once I've been intrigued by going because of the movies that are out, so I want to do that. We want to hang some of our wedding photos and hang our gallery wall behind our couch up. We got some frames in from our registry. It's like 4 matted square frames, and we're gonna hang them above our couch downstairs. And we've had the frames for probably since like November, and they've been in the box next to the couch, but we are waiting to get all of our wedding pictures back and like waiting to sit down and decide which 4 we wanted before we ordered the prints to go in the frames, and we finally decided which 4 we want, so I want to get those ordered and then hang them up. I do have a second interview on July 8th for a senior accountant position, so I have on here to just put my best foot forward in interviews and just trust in God's plan and just like be at peace with the outcome no matter what the outcome is. I'm really just trying to trust that things that I'm not meant to do and that just like aren't part of my life plan, that those doors will close, and I'm trusting in that. But I really want to put my best foot forward and not like overcomplicate and overhype the interviews, I guess, in my head, because I feel like I do a lot worse when I make them into like this really, really big deal instead of just thinking of them as a professional conversation between 2 adults. And then I have to read 5 books, which is so crazy. Basically, the whole point of this is to get my summer TBR knocked out before I jump back into the Throne of Glass series. Because in August, I plan to pick up Queen of Shadows so that I can hopefully finish the series through February of next year is my goal. Because I know they're all really long books, so that's my goal, but we'll see. I said 5 books because that sounds a lot more realistic, but honestly, even that sounds like a lot for what I have on my TBR, so we will see. Now getting into the reading recap finally. So the 3 books I read in June were Heartless by Elsie Silver, which is the 2nd book in the Chestnut Springs series, and it was a 5-star read for me. It is most people who have read the series' favorite book of the series, and I totally see why. It was so good. I am someone who loves like Western romances. I don't know what it is, but they just like scratch my brain differently, and I eat up a found family trope, and I eat it up even more when it's a single dad. I loved it, and that's all this book is. It's a small Western town romance with found family. You have kind of like Grumpy and Sunshine vibes, and then you have the single dad, and it's just delicious. And he's older. There's an age difference too. It's a forbidden romance in a way too, because it's like the dad and the babysitter. And I say babysitter, but she's a full-grown adult. And it was so good. The banter in it was really great. The chemistry in it was so strong and so real. The spice in it was so hot. There are like some specific scenes that I'm just like thinking about that I'm like, oh my gosh, those were literally so good. If you know, you know. Ultimately, I just loved it. And I loved the little boy in the book too. He was so precious. That book was amazing and so pure. And then I went on the complete opposite side of the spectrum and read Haunting Adeline. I know in my June reset video, I said I was reading Haunting Adeline, and then I like put an asterisk and put Hunting Adeline on screen. I didn't realize there were 2 books. I thought for the longest time that it was called Haunting Adeline, but then every time I looked it up, I always saw a cover that said Haunting Adeline, and I was so confused. I was like, which one is it? And then I realized that Haunting Adeline's the first book, Haunting Adeline is the second book, and it all made sense. So I read Haunting Adeline, the first one of the series, and I read that for the book club with my sister-in-law and her friends. You knew my sister-in-law and her friends, like they love the dark romances and stuff like that, so it totally made sense to me like that they picked that. But it was just funny because the only other dark romance I've really read is Verity, and that was like 4 years ago, and I don't even think that that's scratches the surface of dark romance. And Haunting Adeline was a very disturbing book. I talked about it some in one of my vlogs, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on it here. I did just update my Goodreads with like my full blown out reviews this morning, so I'll leave my Goodreads link down below if you want to see like the full reviews. There are so many trigger warnings you need to check before you read Haunting Adeline first and foremost. There's a lot going on in it, but basically it's about this guy who is fighting to end sex trafficking, and then this woman who's an author, and she's trying to like uncover the murder mystery of her great grandma, but this guy who is trying to end sex trafficking is stalking her. The rest I'll just let you figure out if you are wanting to figure it out. My main issues with the book were that there were so many different little subplots, and overall the plot of the whole book just felt very weak because so many of the subplots just weren't developed all that great in my opinion. The book genuinely makes you feel like you're going crazy at times because you'll find yourself like liking the male main character, but he does some very, very foul, awful things. But then there will be times where his character is kind of being redeemed and you're like, oh, but he's doing this and it's just so great. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be thinking like that about this man. Reading that book felt like being in a very toxic relationship, honestly. I did not like the female main character very much, but I absolutely adored her best friend and their friendship. The female main character was just kind of insufferable, and she had basically no backbone, and she had 0 character development in my opinion. But I will say the imagery in the book was really good. I loved visualizing the house that the female main character lived in because it was like very spooky, kind of old Victorian home vibes. I was thinking there was going to be like a lot of paranormal activity type stuff in it, and there wasn't, and they kind of made you believe that there would be in the beginning, so I didn't like that. The first 30% of the book was so slow too. It just felt like I was reading the same thing happening over and over and over. But I will say once I got past that, it was kind of hard for me to put it down, honestly, and I was interested to see what was happening next and everything, so I was speeding through it once I got to that point. And that is like one of the main redeeming factors of reading that book to me, is that it was hard to put down once I got past the 30%. And I gave it 3.5 stars on Goodreads because I was like, the fact that I wasn't able to put it down, that I guess makes it, you know, at least somewhat redeemable. Overall, I just didn't really know how to feel about it. As far as smut goes, it was definitely the most intense I read out of every book, and also like the most drawn out smut scenes, if you will. I did not like the first several smut scenes in it because if you know, you know. But towards the end of the book, there were 2 scenes that were real hot and steamy. I am probably going to end up reading the second book because I just need to know what happens next, because it did end on a cliffhanger, unfortunately. If it didn't end on a cliffhanger, I probably wouldn't pick up the second book and read it. I feel like I need to know what happens. And then the third book I read was Powerless by Elsie Silver, and I just finished that one last night, and that is the 3rd book of the Chestnut Springs series. And it was really, really good. I gave it 3.75 on Goodreads, but I felt like I was being very critical this morning. It was still really good, and I actually read it faster than I read Heartless, but I was reading Heartless in between travels and stuff. But Powerless I like read in under a week. It was hard for me to connect to because it's like 2 characters who are part of this Chestnut Springs universe, which is literally a ranch. These 2 characters don't really have much to do with the ranch, so I kind of just felt like I was reading a separate standalone book at times, and it wasn't a part of the series, which was kind of weird. I loved the smut in this book. It was amazing. Honestly, I loved it just as much as I loved the smut in Heartless, but they were like 2 different kinds of smut, if that makes sense. But the weird thing about this book is every time I was reading one of the smut scenes, I felt like it wasn't the 2 main characters, and it just threw me off because then I was like, I feel like I'm reading about 2 completely other different people when it's a smut scene versus them throughout the rest of the book. But the character development in this book was absolutely phenomenal. I loved that, and I found the female main character to be very relatable. If you like childhood friends to lovers, you will absolutely love this trope, and if you like found family, you'll like any of the books in this series. But overall, I did really love it, but Heartless is my favorite, which is the 2nd book in the series so far. I will say in Powerless, on my Kindle, there were like several times when there were like actual legitimate errors in the book, like where a word was in a sentence and it like was not supposed to be or something. It was throwing me off. I was like, am I reading this right? And I had like several of those in the book, so that was like kind of weird too. I'm gonna try and breeze through my TBR really fast. I have 8 books on my TBR, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say if I can finish these 8 books by mid-August, that would be ideal, because mid-August is kind of like my cutoff where I'm like, I am starting Queen of Shadows. So I have Hunting Adeline, the second book, of course, but I kind of want to wait till the fall to read that for like the spooky vibes, you know? I've Caught Up by Liz Tomford, which is the third book in the Windy City series, and I want to read that because the fourth one comes out in July. The next book is A Happier Life by Christy Woodson Harvey. I have seen 0 people talk about this book. I found it on Goodreads. Nobody I'm friends with has read it. I haven't seen a single person talk about it on TikTok, Instagram, anything like that. And I really, really want to read it, and it sounds really interesting. So that's on my TBR, and that might be the next book I read, actually. I have The 7-Year Slip. I've had that on my TBR for a while, and I keep seeing people talk about it, so I'm having some FOMO, and I want to read it. I want to read Remarkably Bright Creatures. I've had that on my TBR for a little while, and if y'all don't watch Lottie Smalley here on YouTube, which she just kind of came back to YouTube. I used to like love watching her videos when she posted vlogs and everything, but she's been posting some bookish content, and I've been eating it up, and it's been so great. And Lottie, if you're watching this, I'm so happy you're back on YouTube. But she did a mid-year book tag, and I loved that video. I thought it was so fun. She talked about how good Remarkably Bright Creatures was. I have that on my TBR, and I wanted to read it, but I was like waiting to hear people talk about it. And hearing her talk about it and hearing her say it made her cry was like my selling point. I was like, okay, I'm gonna read that book. So I have that on my TBR, and then I have the next 2 books of the Chestnut Spring series, Reckless and Hopeless. I go through those books so quickly, and I definitely want to finish off that series because I hate that I'm in the middle of like 4 different series right now. Cat and Mouse duet series with Haunting Adeline, Windy City series that I'm in the middle of, Chestnut Spring series that I'm in the middle of, Throne of Glass. There's just so much going on, and I just want to finish up some of these series because I hate how my toxic trait is bouncing between books of series instead of just reading a series all the way through. I hate that I do that, and I want to wrap up some of these series so badly. And the last book is Georgie All Along, which I have to read in July because that is our book club book for July. Those are my TBR books, and I'm really excited because I feel like I have a lot of really great things on here. And that is everything for my mid-year reset, my July reset, and my June recap. I have been talking for probably 2 hours. This is absolutely nuts, and I don't know how I'm gonna get this video to be short enough. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to the end, comment a red emoji. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already and turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and follow me on my social media down below so we can keep up in real time. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.